Hi students, I am Dr. Anurag Agarwal and this is OSN Academy of English since 1998. आजकल बच्चों जितने भी एग्जाम्स लाइंड अप हैं आपके लिए, जिसमें सबसे महत्वपूर्ण है जीडीसी गवर्नमेंट डिग्री कॉलेज का एग्जाम, वेयर द नेट इज अ कंपल्शन. All those students who have qualified NET and JRF and wish to have this government assistant professor, they should not leave any stone unturned for this batch. Then you have the LT batch, then you have the GIC, then UGC NET and JRF is a compulsion, and we have the two languages, bilingual and pure English. Apart from this, students, there are these examinations which are lined up. 2026 batch is running. BPSC Bihar Public Service Commission batch is also available at the application, where Bihar students are joining. The exam might be conducted after 4 to 5 months. In the same way, Jharkhand Public Service Commission with optional English literature, this may also be conducted after 4 to 5 months. So these are the major examinations in the field of English literature, and as per your priority, as per your dedication, as per your choice, you may feel happy to be a part of OSN Academy, which is a premier academy, a qualitative academy under my guidance past 27 years. So today I feel once again happy, and I have a lot of togetherness with all the students all over India who are joining my batches on a daily basis as per their need. And today I'm going to take a topic which is most important and common for every examination of English, whether the student is MA English, doing from university or IGNOU, or preparing for any of the examinations in literature. And what is that topic? The name of the topic is Victorian Age. You must have studied a lot about the Victorian Age, but today, when I am going to teach you Victorian Age, I am very much sure कि आपको कभी ऐसा लेक्चर न सुना होगा, न सुनने को मिलेगा, और वो जो आपको नॉलेज मिलेगी, जो कम्युनिकेशन होगा, जो आपको फीलिंग ऑफ हैप्पीनेस आएगी, you will understand, especially new students, that why students who want quality education, they study with OSN Academy. And in all the syllabus of every examination, the history part is important. If you see the GDC syllabus, you will find Tennyson, Browning in them. But who is Tennyson? Who is Browning? They are great poets of the Victorian Age. Literary movements and history and trends from the 16th and 20th in each of the syllabus. Without the history part, without understanding the Elizabethan age, the Restoration age, the Victorian age, the modern age, the postmodern age, how will you understand? How will you write the answers? How will you attempt for the PYQs, the MCQs, or even the mains? You have to write. Your answers has to be very different. Your answers has to be qualitative. So for quality education, you have to come out with the best to compete the world. And for that competition only, if you are knowing OSN Academy, आपकी जर्नी बहुत आसान हो जाती है. एक कहावत है, a good beginning is half ended. Means if you have known OSN Academy, आपकी जो जर्नी है वो 50% फ्री हो गई. Means 50% headache आपका खत्म हो गया the moment you joined or you got OSN Academy. So I'm just erasing this thing, and here I am writing Victorian Age. Now, students, whoever are here in my live class, they may come to my message box, the comment box. They may be a part of my class because it is live. They may have some few words, comments about the Victorian Age, about whatever they want to know, whatever they want to ask, and just like and subscribe the channel if you are new to it. Now, before I start telling much about the Victorian Age, just remain with me till the last of this session so that you are going to really appreciate that what sir has taught today you have never come across. Means you have never heard such a lecture. First of all, इसमें आपको आप लिख लीजिए, बल्कि टेनिसन, नंबर 2 पे लिखिए ब्राउनिंग, और नंबर 3 पे लिखिए क्रिस्टीना रोसेटी. Now, if we take a look at the dates of these three poets, अगर हम इन तीनों poets की dates को देखें, we notice that a major part of their poetic career spanned in the 19th century. अब कैसे हम आपको बताते हैं, 1809, 1892. अब आप देखते जाइए, जो मैंने बोला है उसको यहां से मैच कर लीजिए. 1812, 1889, ये देख लीजिए जो मैंने बोला है. उसके बाद 1830, 1894, 1830 and here 94. Now, what I have said, that if you look at the dates of these three poets, we notice that a major part of their poetic career spanned the 19th century. They were more or less contemporaries. Contemporaries मतलब होता है समकालीन. And they shared certain characteristics. They shared certain characteristics that make it possible for us to group them together and describe them as Victorian poets. ऐसे विक्टोरियन एज का जब कोई क्वेश्चन आए तो ऐसे आपको लिखना है. यू हैव टू स्टार्ट, स्पेशली इन द मेंस एग्जामिनेशन. दैट इज व्हाई आज की जो क्लास का थंबनेल है, दैट इज जीडीसी, गवर्नमेंट डिग्री कॉलेज. एंड दिस लेक्चर इज गोइंग टू हेल्प द इनॉर्मस स्टूडेंट्स ऑफ एनी एग्जामिनेशन, खास तौर से जो वो बच्चे हैं जिनको लिखना है मेंस. ऑफ कोर्स they were different in many ways. Why? Because they came from different varied backgrounds. From their biographies, we know that they had distinct personalities. अगर इनकी biography हम पढ़ें, we will understand that their personalities are distinct. And because they had distinct personalities, that affected their poetic sensibilities in separate, distinct ways. If we talk about Christina Rossetti, the fact that she was a woman poet writing along with male poets made her stand apart from Tennyson and Browning. यहां पे ये अलग हो गई भीड़ से. Perhaps it is this combination of similarities. Perhaps it is the combination of differences that help to explain the term Victorian. Now, after understanding in brief about this, we can write in your answer paper that it is a term used to describe the age, and by calling the poets Victorian, we study them in relation to the age in which they lived. Now, to study the Victorian age, you have to understand the Victorian background. Victorian background. The name Victorian, basically the name Victorian is derived from Queen Victoria, who ascended the English throne in 1837. And she ruled for the next 63 years. 63 साल तक उन्होंने राज किया, till her death in 1901. There was a historian, I am forgetting the name of that historian, a noted historian of that period. She was a lady. She was, means Queen Victoria was a popular queen, according to that historian, who drew support from the sentiment and enthusiasm of the people. As a constitutional monarch, her powers were limited, but she made the royal throne the embodiment of the moral values and beliefs of her age. No wonder she gave the age her own name. Kaisi age? Victorian age. Every age continues from the previous era. The age that preceded the Victorian age or the Victorian period is usually marked from 1790 to 1830. 1790 to 1830. ये मैंने क्या लिखा है? The age that preceded the Victorian period is marked from this and is known as the Romantic period. However, to draw a boundary line between ages is not easy, nor it is often desirable. History is not simply a process of continuous development. A lot of history is reconstructed by looking at the past from the vantage point of the present. Now, how an age is perceived, किस प्रकार से age को देखा जाता है, depends on what is highlighted and what is ignored. And at the same time, thoughts are buried deep in the consciousness of an age that may not be apparent to those who are living at the time. Our task while studying the Victorian age would be to fill in these unconscious gaps by looking at the continuities and breaks that mark one age from another. Or if we speak broadly, there are two popular approaches to the Victorian age. Pehla, the first sees it as an age of transition from the old, outworn doctrines and traditions of the past. And the second compares the age with the future, so that our modern ideas are traced back to the Victorian period. There is an interesting distinction between these two approaches which I have just told you. The former approach sees the Victorian age as dynamic and freewheeling, so that changes which began towards the end of the 18th century are seen as gathering momentum from 1850 onwards. And the latter, which contrasts the Victorian age with the hectic pace of our old times, sees it as a very stable world of peace and prosperity, in which ideas have their roots in certain unshakable foundations. In a sense, both these approaches offer a limited perspective. If we take one point of view, we ignore the other point of view, and a more balanced, unified approach would be to look at those aspects of an age that are invisible and unconscious. They are like, ripples on the calm surface of water. They hide from the view the dangerous depths of the water. if we were to throw a stone on the still surface, the water would part, causing disturbance. And the best way to understand an age would be to look at those cracks and fissures that appear when the calm, smooth exterior of the age is disturbed. Such a disturbance is caused when we probe into those areas where an age appears confident and self-assured. So this is the way, this is the language, this is the approach to get selected in these high competitive pre examinations, मेंस examinations, खास तौर से जो असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर के मेंस एग्जामिनेशन है, यूपीएससी है, जेकेएससी है, जेपीएससी है, बीपीएससी है, या जहां भी मेंस लिखना है आपको, this is required the understanding. Good morning, sir. I am watching you from Chhattisgarh. Good morning and welcome to OSN Academy. In our Chhattisgarh state CG set is going to held soon. Please guide me to qualify CG. Mukesh Keshi, if you are wishing to qualify the Chhattisgarh set, you would be happy to know that more than 35 to 40 students of Chhattisgarh, they are already studying in the Chhattisgarh set batch of OSN Academy. So in case you want to see that, or if you want to have some guidance in the last moment, you can have that also. You can have a special crash course book, which I have always mentioned to take by every student, which you can even see. So just connect on the number given on the screen, Mukesh, and connect and have a telephonic conversation so that you may be able to save your time. Devesh, Pranam Devesh. Now, यहाँ तक हमें उम्मीद है कि आपको विक्टोरियन एज का लेक्चर अच्छा लगा होगा, और अगर अच्छा लगा है एक बार थम्स अप करके जरूर बताएंगे. Now, let us begin with the changes that the Victorians celebrated with a great deal of confidence. Almost all the major thinkers of the period, चाहे वो आर्नल्ड हो, कार्लाइल हो, डिज़रेली हो, आर्नल्ड, कार्लाइल, डिज़रेली, ऐसे लिख ले सकते हैं आप, आर्नल्ड, कार्लाइल, आर्नल्ड, कार्लाइल, डिज़रेली, J.S. Mill, Ruskin, Morris, J.S. Mill, Ruskin, Morris, Herbert Spencer, Simons, Tennyson, and many others hailed their times as bringing in a new order to replace old systems of thought. They were especially proud of the fact that the Victorian England was breaking free from a feudal agrarian order to be replaced by a democratic industrial society. And the two major events of the age were the successive reform bills. इस पे भी क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, लिखना भी होता है. And those two successive reform bills, 1832, 1867, 1832 and 1867 and 1884, that gave democratic rights to the people and the Industrial Revolution. The latter was responsible for increasing the mechanization and improved communication, the introduction of railways, the introduction of steamboats, roads, canals, led to the expansion of commerce. But what the Victorians truly celebrated was the spread of education and the increase in the publication of books, periodicals, newspapers, so that newer ideas could percolate to a wide section of the society. The age was conscious of the growing power of a new segment of society. The traders, the bankers, the merchants, the financiers, the professionals, and men of letters. The middle class that occupied a strategic position between the aristocrats and the working class. Most of the writers mentioned above belong to this class. And in welcoming the changes that were taking place in the society, they were celebrating the increasing social, political, economic power of their own classes. However, the Victorians were very conscious of living in an age of unrest, in an age of paradox. Almost all the writers spoke about the prevailing atmosphere of doubt, especially in matters of religion. And in doing so, they were giving expression to a fear they experienced collectively. Paradoxically enough, what they feared was that very change and progress which they otherwise celebrated. A democratic industrial society offers ample opportunity for unlimited competition. And yes, don't forget that according to John Stuart Mill, a noted political and economic analyst of that time, a distinguishing feature of the new age is the fact that human beings are no longer born to their place in life but are free to employ their faculties and such favorable chances to offer to achieve the lot which may appear to them most desirable. And with the widening of the economic opportunities, more and more people could climb the social scale. And at the same time, such a breakdown of class structures created a peculiar sense of insecurity among those very people who had taken advantage of the social mobility. They now felt the need to protect their status and privileges against the encroachment of the class they had left behind. This fear translated itself into a powerful desire for social stability, for social security. And yes, though the Victorians acknowledged the intellectual anarchy, and what is that intellectual anarchy? A term used by John Stuart Mill of the time. They always looked forward to a period of firm conviction and established beliefs. And to them, all changes were a necessary change in the process of growth. What differentiates the Victorians from our modern times is this faith in the existence or ultimate truths in both religion and ethics. They also held on to a faith in man's capacity to discover these truths. And this contradictory desire for both change as well as stability on the part of the Victorian middle class resulted in a number of fascinating intellectual debates of their time. And these debates, in turn, created a cross current of ideas that influenced the major poets. And one way of studying the poetry of Tennyson, Browning, Rossetti would be to analyze the points at which they enter into the debates. So, my dear students, this session, this lecture was for all those quality conscious students who understand that how to learn with a professor, with a teacher, with a system, with an academy, which can make you progress and which can make you compete to that level of selective ideas where you can get selection by the way you have to qualify in such a competitive world. So in case you like this channel or like my classes, just subscribe this channel and press the like button. And for in case of any guidance, you can contact me on the number given on the screen. Thank you.